Like, is that Redview Creek?
Pardon?
Immigration Creek? No, Redview Creek.
It's part of this highway.
Ah.
36 and 12.
It's pretty big.
It's a job to broken clock.
Was that? Yeah, right, yeah, no.
Go through there a bit, so BJ.
Hey, John.
Hello, John. It sounded like John. Thank heavens for mute.
Are you talking about me?
No, just a little girl.
Take a number.
Hello, Bobo.
Yeah. Well, it's 3 o'clock. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. Welcome to the Town of Alta Planning Commission, Wednesday, March 25th, 2026. We're going to start with a public hearing, to receive input from anybody in person and or online. Input on a proposal by the owners of the shallow shaft to make amendments to the text of the Town of Alta zoning ordinance. So we have that hearing now. Anyone from the public in attendance would like to say something? And yes, yep, that's fine. Yeah, if you don't mind coming up, stating your name and
Just very back.
sure.
Don't mind me.
Hi, my name's Steve Robinson and I work and live in Alta and have been since 2013. I support thoughtful development, but I believe this proposal raises important questions about what kind of development takes place in Alta. Zoning exists to support community. And in this case, this proposal introduces what is essentially more lodging into an area that hasn't historically allowed lodging. Not economic viability is not necessarily the best use of land. And that is what I'm here to say. This proposal is framed really as like a small hotel, but it shifts the primary use of what the base facility zone's intention was to something else. This is how we see from these large mountain towns, these little micro adjustments in development that lead to bigger problems, more people wanting more of the share. We've seen that at the snow pine, the 25 feet above the road. And we saw how the Trumps tried to encroach and ask for more, seeing the snow pine standard. And I know that you guys from watching the meetings are in conclusion with that. So in my eyes, it seems why change something that's been in place to protect something, the services that would provide for the communities, than for more profit for a single business. And at its core, this is more of a choice. You know, you talked about how something is better than nothing, but I think that something needs to have intention. Put something there that serves the community. That base facility zone was, and that the zoning created for that space was for lodging, for these things, so development would not encroach. Obviously, times are changing, things are happening, and micro adjusting these small things for development is, we need to look at the bigger picture of it. Because this canyon isn't gonna get bigger, it's more people are gonna come into it. Lodging is just gonna jam more vehicles, more cars, and we need more services and infrastructure to support this growing population and the need that we have in this canyon. I'm not anti-development, I'm just pro-community. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to come forward? Anyone else? Is there anyone online? So, and if we, I didn't stay, but if we can keep these to 5 minutes, sorry.
I think it's
Three, okay.
And Neil Howard is joining us now.
Very good, thank you.
Thanks for
Well,
that. Sorry, not usually on Zoom, live in Google Meet for work. But yeah, if y'all have time, I would love to state my piece.
Yes, you're gonna start by introducing yourself and then go for it.
For sure. How's it going? My name's Neil Howard. I am a longtime community member of Alta. Grew up here, have worked up here over the years, including everything from the Alta Lodge to Alta Java. And yeah, Katie's response was much more eloquent than mine, but I basically echo her sentiment. I've read through all the meeting notes of this, and I can tell the council probably feels similar, where this proposal is very much asking to change a very specific zoning for a very specific area, and that zoning, the BFC Zone C, only consists of 2 buildings, as was noted. And if I go back to, let's see, I believe it was the November 19th message. I believe this point by Maren Askins like nails it on the head. However, I'm quoting now, she stated that is struggling with the idea of the following: allowing a new use for one business only when there are other established businesses in the area that may also want to add kitchens to their hotel rooms, but they are restricted from doing so. Askins asked if it would be problematic to have a definition that is so specific to this one building in our code, notifying that the building design isn't yet finalized and could change. That's really where I find issue with this, is that it is so micro specific to adjusting one building that I think it sets a really it doesn't set a good tone or precedent for the rest of the town. Specifically also noting through some of these meeting notes that they are dealing with site constraint issues too. So changing the code isn't even going to potentially solve the problem of this project in general, and does set a precedent for other buildings across Alta that would want to do something similar. And I know that everyone in the community cares about the state that Alta is right now without having been overrun by development. And I feel like setting a precedent for a request to change zoning in very specific instances like this doesn't do that any favors.
Thank you. Is anyone else online? Do we see anybody?
Somebody else online.
No, somebody else? All right. We will close the public hearing. Thanks, everybody. Now we'll start our, yeah.
Yeah.
Motion.
Oh, we didn't, yeah. I'll move to close the public hearing. Thank you. Is there a second?
Oh, no, I
You
don't.
can't.
Sorry.
Thank you. Motion to close the hearing, and the second, all in favor? Aye. All right, sorry, the hearing is closed. Let's go on to the regular agenda for the planning commission, and Mike, sorry about the last minute cancellation of the ski abouts. Nobody had water skis. Or hip waders or anything else, so it's just one of those years where lots of things are getting moved around and canceled, so we'll catch you next time. Or maybe we'll do a walkabout this summer. So let's open up the planning commission meeting.
No dogs allowed.
Yeah, you have a permit?
Sorry, Mayor.
Public comment. Planning commission.
Mark Hake. Citizen Draper has a place in Albion Basin. Period, I believe it should be the planning meeting. And he remarked to the council that a big problem that he sees is going to occur in the basin is with the inception of the new WUI code and the fire maps in the state fire code. What's gonna happen is there's going to be skyrocketing insurance on properties that can't demonstrate adequate fire protection or any level of fire protection. Mr. Also commented on the state of the power lines in Albion Basin, and so he advocated that the town should pursue a path to bury some of the power lines for both public safety and aesthetic reasons. And so I would advocate that this body put on their agenda in the coming year to have a look at the various uses that are occurring in Albion Basin, including all the uses. That means skiers, hikers, bikers, the power up there and the water up there. The lift company has been consistently over the past 3 decades closed out from developing needed in the marketplace, needed water infrastructure there for snowmobile. And for those people that weren't around in the early aughts and the tens, it was commonplace back then to have discussed the virtual reservoir, wherein you make the snow in the winter and it lasts a lot longer and melts out slower in the summer. Now, in the instance of the lake, we're going to need that. I'm advocating that you, as a body, put on your agenda to review all the public infrastructure. That means the phone, the power, the water infrastructure, and the source protection zones. Mr. Highmark is advocating that the sewer in his neighborhood gets hooked up, and one of the reasons that he advocates for that is because of the proximity of his and the neighbors' houses to the town's source protection zone. The only difference between there and the basin is there's numerous source protections up there that need to be considered. So I'd urge you to put that on your agenda and start having a look at being able to co-locate utilities to protect the residents of Albion Basin to see that they get fire protection.
Thank you. Anybody else online or anywhere else like to do public comments?
I made a public comment.
Sure, please.
My public comment was just a little bit about, since we didn't have a ski around and didn't have a chance to talk a little bit, just wanted to give you a brief overview of what Alta Ski Area has on the docket for this summer.
Okay.
So we obviously will be working on finishing the Albion Day Lodge expansion. We will be finishing the equipment storage building. The contractors have agreed, and we're working with the town on building public restrooms in the Grizzly Gulch parking lot. They seem to be moving forward. We will be doing some work up on Supreme, on the Big Dipper ski room, some terrain work so that we can groom that run with less snow on the ground in margin snow conditions. So similar to what we did to Sleepy Hollow, we'll do some work in Big Dipper. We have we lost our overhead power line over on the one overhead power line we have here in the ski area this year. Had brine on the lines that broke the pole. And so we're gonna underground that line, as well as replace the snowmaking line from the top corkscrew up to Watson Shelter. So that'll be a similar, much smaller project than what happened here across the transfer tow this year. So we have that project going on. We may be putting a Beeson Tower in above Devil's Castle Road, where the fences are down towards the bottom of the road. The fences aren't quite doing the job we need them to do, so we're looking to put in the Beeson Tower up there. And we have a few other little terrain places that aren't major that we may, if time permits, we'll be addressing. We are doing the big project in the Wildcat parking lot is looking at expanding parking on the north side of the Wildcat parking lot, squaring it up a little bit. And then the roadside parking above between the Wildcat entry and the Alta Lodge will be closed, all except for 10 spots across from our lanes of this. That's the intent, to get the roadside parking closed, make it more convenient for the customers down in there, and so that's associated with that. There may be a little parking adjustment also up by the cat shop on the ramp going in, maybe some additional parking spots put on that side of that ramp. Those are just quick overview of the major projects that are in the works. There's still, some of those are still in the approval process with the Forest Service. The project that I think will impact all of us this summer, if it goes through, is the Rocky Mountain Power is planning to underground all of their overhead lines to the town of Alta and up into the basin, the major feeders. We are working with Rocky Mountain Power on potential routes and how to minimize disruption and impact upon other utilities and infrastructure to that. But that'll be a fairly major project if they do undertake that. Wow, with this summer this year. And then the last thing I would say is, just as we continue to appreciate the work that the town and the planning commission does as we try to take care of this special place here at Alta, and have responsible development that's made in ways that help to accommodate the needs and the desires of landowners while protecting our environment and taking care of it and taking care of the skiers and the people that want to come out there. We know we have more demand that wants to come here during peak periods than we can accommodate. That's why we have parking reservations and such. We are also continuing to work with UDOT on, they're looking to moving forward with busing solutions for the future. And so one of those issues that we've addressed, and I don't know if this committee got a copy of the letter that we sent to UDOT that talked about the transportation solutions. Probably not. Chris, did you?
No.
Maybe you should forward them a copy. That might be a good idea. But it talks about, UDOT has plans for this big transportation hub, and we just expressed some concerns and some things that we asked them to look at. It's kind of like the transportation hub that takes no one where they want to go. And so we'd like to see something that works a little bit better than what they proposed. We've made some recommendations. It'd be great if this council looked at that, and if it was felt appropriate to even support some of those or indicate the town's support towards UDOT, that would be awesome to help in trying to, because we're trying to look for solutions that work. Here for the town rather than just throwing money at things and doing something that's not really going to work. And so, thank you. We're supportive of helping people to help take care of people that want to come here to visit Alta and do it in a responsible way. Thank you for what.
Now, thanks, and again, sorry about the.
Mike,
Questions? Yes. Go ahead.
How far up Grizzly Gulch, if any, is this power underground go?
They're not gonna go for schools. It will probably right in front of your house.
Yes.
Where that power pole is, that right now the plan is they're putting some big switch gear right there along the summer road. And from there they go up, and from there they're gonna go down. It's kind of the maps they showed us were quite old. And they had a lot of infrastructure on those maps that don't exist anymore. The skier has taken over a fair amount of that infrastructure. And so we're working with them to kind of get the maps cleaned up first, is to say what really is there and where is it. But the current plan is that right there on the summer road, it would go from being overhead to underground. And go up the summer road and down the summer road and through the town. And so these overhead lines that are coming across here and coming across down by the snow pine would all be taken out.
So they would bury it along the road as opposed to along where the line runs now.
Wouldn't follow existing lines.
Yeah.
Be all a new underground line. It's kind of.
And all in one summer?
That's what they say. Well, it started the bike, from there to the bypass road and from there up into the basin. They would not be undergrounding the individual services that go from the transformers to the cabins. That would be a responsibility of the cabin owners if they need underground those portions. But the main lines that hold the transformers, they're looking at replacing. That's what, under some fire, wildland fire prevention. So I guess something that happened with, I can't remember, another power company really had an issue, California.
California.
Big fire, so they're just, they're on a kind of a hot seat to. Make sure.
Yeah.
Literally hot seat, huh?
Yeah.
No, they replaced some of that stuff, I mean. Mike, thank you. Question on the Wildcat parking, is that just gonna be a net, shift around from the road to the sort of?
Yeah, it's just a net, it's a net.
Yeah, swap.
So there's I can't remember the numbers, I think there's like 92 spots that are being removed from roadside parking. It would be gathered back, put down for a while.
Well, the snowplow drivers probably like that.
Well, snowplow, safety, all of those issues, it's. You open your door across the white line and you drive up to Kings, everything. So, it's kind of direction.
Busy summer.
Boy. The last summer was this.
Yeah.
Well, this is the last scale down from this.
Okay, thank you. Let's go on to item 4, the minutes from February 25th. Any discussion, amendment, edits, what have you?
I reviewed them and I thought they captured the meeting well. Make a motion to
Approve a
approve.
motion. Okay, there's a motion.
Had a correction, I don't think it captured, I didn't capture what Polly said,
Okay,
it's probably not. Neither here nor there, it was about the blue and the red text. What it captured doesn't make sense, in terms of what the language was, so. I think we should talk to Polly about what she actually said there, let me read what it says now.
Can you tell me what page it's on to?
Yeah, I'm struggling. Just had it, I lost it.
Might be page 8.
Here it is. It says Abraham asked about the red versus the blue text in the packet. McLean clarified that the red text language that was brought over. Whereas the blue text is new language to make it more universal. Yeah, so I think she was trying to say to clarify or. Make it more, I don't know what she actually said, but it wasn't that.
I don't remember.
It's not a. It's a thing that's going to change the history of Alta in any way, but just.
Yeah, we can revisit it and then approve them at the next meeting with some modifications, if that's what you wanna do.
If we wanna be accurate, we probably should.
Whatever's your pleasure. So we will hold off on the minutes pending clarification on.
In that case, I will amend my motion to hold for clarification on what Polly said. And
All right.
this, we'll have 2 minutes next week.
Okay, cool. So we have a motion to hold off on the minutes till next time for clarification.
But what I would call is policy, it's basically the same language, just more in keeping with the current format.
But she was quoted, we should clarify that. So motion to hold off.
Second.
All right, favor of holding off, aye,
Who was the second? Sorry.
Dave. All right, very good, thank you. Agenda item 5, discussion and possible action. Recommendation to the council. Regarding the proposal of the shuttle shaft property. And the amendments thereof, so. First, I'm gonna turn it over to you initially.
Sure.
And then we'll take it from there.
I don't have enough to say to warrant standing up, I think, other than some niceties. I'll observe that. It's, let's see, it's a month short of 2 years since the first time, Walter and Andrina came to town of Alta meeting to present their, conceptual land use text amendments and redevelopment vision to the town. So, I think we've had this appears to me to be the 6th meeting where they've come to talk to us about. So we had a couple meetings in the spring of 2024. We had a meeting in the spring of last year, and we had 2 meetings in the fall. So I wanna thank, what was that?
It was the fifth meeting, this is the fifth meeting.
Oh, it's only the fifth?
Yeah, the other meeting was the meeting that you had in, I think, May. That was a council meeting that we were not present.
Oh, interesting. Thank you for the edit. Anyway, these guys have been good sports, I think is the point I wanted to make. They have a vision, and I think they've taken a lot of feedback from us, and it's not entirely common for, you know, an applicant or property owner with a proposal and city staff to work closely on you know, the document that we have today. And this is not it's not our advice. It was just guidance to these guys. You know, we worked through some holes or gaps in the code that, you know, in another frame, we're taking some action to correct in terms of how property owners or members of the public can propose to change our town of Alta regulations, especially land use regulations. So thank you to you guys for being good sports on that. Thank you to the commission for really digging in and engaging the issues on this one. I think we've done a really nice job distilling the choice down here to some essential policy questions. And you know, I think I make an observation somewhere in the staff report that some of the proposals, you know, could be seen to set a precedent. The proposals, you know, would set a precedent that, you know, could appear to obligate the town or sort of weigh the scale in favor of, you know, making one decision or another on land use regulations in the future. You know, we don't change zoning very often here in Alta. We don't rezone single parcels. I'll just follow up on one comment made in the public hearing. This is not a proposal that would affect a single parcel. It would affect it happens to be two parcels in the base facility zone, but we've sort of come around to the rationalization that Zone C is to some extent its zoning district. So it's relatively safe in that regard to consider the merits of the proposal. So anyway, I guess I'll just say that one thing I'll say is that because we don't see a lot of change up here in development patterns, in land ownership, especially in the commercial core, the base facility zone has changed, you know, roughly every 10 years. Any proposal to change the zoning ordinance, I think, could be construed as setting a major precedent. So it's really up to the planning commission as an advisory body to the council on policy, major sort of policy advisory body to weigh those considerations and make a recommendation to the council. And the council makes the final decision. So yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to add on the substance of the proposal at this point, other than what's in the staff report. We had some good dialogue about the staff report over the last few days, and I don't think Andrino, Walter, and Jay have a whole lot to add other than to talk through the exhibits they provided for the meeting. I do just want to real quick introduce Cameron Platt. I think a few of you met Cameron, but Cameron is a town attorney who works with Polly. Cameron typically covers our town council meetings, and Polly's out of town, so he's here with us.
Thank you.
Lucky you.
Nice day.
Good, thanks, Chris. Would you like to take the floor and fill us in on some latest and greatest, please?
It's not weird.
I will turn my on camera off on my own Zoom window when I'm doing this. It's up to you.
Okay. That's the vote.
Well, totally up to you though, Adriana, sorry.
Yeah, just okay. All right, thank you. I'm Andrina Huffam. Wanna thank the planning commission and Chris for continuing to work with us as we've worked through the whole process here over the years. Walter Krosbach, my husband, is here, so we've on the shallow shaft, as we mentioned, since 1906. Jay Springer as our legal counsel, he's with us here today, and then Hans Hoffman has been working with us on the design, so he's so I think. Sure. You get the presentation. Okay, this was the probably last mention on the last slide, let's do the first slide. All right, it's working. Okay, so I was just gonna walk through the text and the changes that were that were submitted, and there's really only one change since the last time we were here at the planning council. Based on that discussion of that meeting, so obviously today is a public hearing and we have just some feedback on the text of the changes, and so we're only covering 3 areas. One is the definition, the permitted and prohibited uses, and then the lot area with still requirements. So we had a new definition again. This was discussion that we've had with the staff of the town, and putting the definition together and having it be a definition that's unique from the other hotel definition that currently exists within the code, and have it apply to zone C. So that was a particular request to have it apply to this zone. So this is the definition. There have been no changes since the December meeting. So it's a compact hotel facility, a small lodging facility located only within zone C of the base facility zone, containing no more than 8 guest rooms, including any on-site older housing units as may be required by the Alta code. Notwithstanding anything to the contrary, the Alta code guest rooms and compact hotel facility may include in shared kitchens and kitchenettes for guest use. So again, no changes here, no change in request at the last week. So the permitted uses, this is the change from the last meeting. There was discussion whether or not retail space that we had currently put into the design should be required or maybe in the design. So we put together wording, as we mentioned last time, with 3 alternatives that the planning commission can take a look at. So the first alternative, so if we look at this, the red are the changes. So these are the permitted uses for all the base facility zone, and then down in item C, does not list in the foregoing in subsection B, the use of a compact hotel facility is an additional permitted use in zone C only. So alternative option A makes no comment regarding a retail space. So we jump to the next one. So again, the changes here basically says, the compact hotel facility is a space that's allowed. It may include as an accessory use of retail commercial service identified or consistent with subsection A3 and the permitted uses. And then no additional parking may be required for the accessory retail commercial service use contained within the same structure as a compact hotel facility, as long as that place does not convert on the square feet. So this is the alternative that we say it may be allowed. And then the last alternative, I put in kind of some different colors in there just to show how it differs from alternative number B. So this one requires the retail space. And then we add, notwithstanding the foregoing, the town council or facility may waive this requirement for retail commercial service provided such waivers in writing. So that's the only change. That these are the only change from alternative B. So these are the only changes that we added that we put into the text amendment submission last time, and really to provide an alternative for the planning commission to look at. And the last area is the lot area width and slope requirement. And there are no changes here from the December 17th meeting. So this is what we agreed upon at the December 17th meeting. And it's really identifying that a lot of parcel and zone C that existed prior to January 1, 2025 has not been subdivided or otherwise modified since that date shall be deemed to meet the minimum lot area and list requirements of this code. Despite net developable area being less than 1 acre for the purposes of any development. And such lots may be developed in accordance with all other applicable zoning regulations, including lot coverage and height, regardless of whether the lot meets the current dimensional standards for lot size or width. The provision may not be deemed to modify zoning requirements in subsection A anyway. This is what we, this was feedback from the November meeting that we brought to the December meeting. And this is unchanged at that time. That's all we had to resign. Jacob?
If I can add a couple of things really quick. So one, in the packet, we provided more documentation. A lot of that was kind of logistics, technicalities, figuring out how the planning commission would act. Then I also wanted to note that, on the slope and width requirement, that is the way that that's structured is to just clarify that it is basically a provision for non-conforming lot to become conforming. And it's intended to be very narrow. It's intended to just to not change the other regulations, and it's a long paragraph, but that's really all it does, is just say if it existed and it hasn't changed, and that can be verified, through the public records and what is available to you. It doesn't have any unintended consequences because of how narrowly it's been tailored. The other thing I wanted to just address is in the staff report, there are a couple of recommended changes that we've looked at in terms of provisions for cooking instead of kitchens or kitchenettes, as well as removing the phrase or delegee. And I don't have any issues with those recommendations. So in what we prepared and presented as models that you may choose to follow and how motions are made, those are very easy to just add in as a bullet point list of how an action might be made. So I just wanted to add that before we opened up for questions.
Is there an updated rendering? Is it the same one you opened up with?
Same one we have to-
Okay, so maybe if you don't mind, maybe we could just have that on the screen as we go into Q&A, if that's all right. There we go. Thank you. We'll open it up for discussion and conversation. You don't have any particular order, but yeah, Jeff, please.
Well, I'll just start out
Sure.
again, as I've said 3 meetings ago. I think this is a dialogue that should be happening more in a general plan amendment. Where I realize it's a small change. I think it does have potential precedent setting impacts across the entire basic facility zone. And the dialogue should probably happen within that larger. But given that, I also recognize that you have a building that's essentially sat vacant now since the pandemic, which is going on 6 years. So that, that something should happen. So I'm kind of torn between having a broader dialogue and moving something forward.
Anybody in the spot, but other thoughts?
I'm feeling similarly. For me, the issues and the exceptions that we need to make in our code. I don't know if the benefits that we would get from this building outweigh those things. That's just where my head's at.
Anywhere you.
Yeah, I think we're all having this, Alta's a special place. We don't wanna kind of make a decision one place and have something else crop up. Because we all love it so much, but any kind of idea about heading down this pathway, I think would require a commercial use. I mean, that was the original intent of the zoning was a commercial use, so they had several options. If we get to a stage where we're talking about making a recommendation, I would think it would be a key part to have a commercial use, you know, as a requirement, and I wouldn't even say that it could be waived. I think it would be something that would be critical to capturing maybe what the hope and feel of what the original zoning maybe had intended. And
Are you, this hotel by itself, you don't think this is commercial use, is that what you're saying?
just in terms of a retail use.
Okay.
Community activation.
Yeah,
Right, yeah,
And, you know, a hotel is a commercial use in itself, but it was not permitted in the.
Right.
Initial zoning, or today it's not permitted, so, I think having it, we could clarify it further that it's a ground floor commercial use. I don't think that's necessarily quite important around here, but, we could make that stipulation if we thought it would be helpful for activation.
All right, thanks, everybody. I'm Joey Align. I'm slightly less concerned with the precedent setting, only slightly, because of the language, some of that language does say only within zone C. I understand that, you know, is that the camel's nose under the tent? I get that, but and yes, we would love to have a broader, bigger, deeper discussion about activation and the appropriate uses as far as some visioning in the general plan, which we'll talk about later at the end of the meeting. And then we have talked about that's 2 to 3 years out. That doesn't mean we need to force an opinion on this or force a recommendation. And per the speaker during the hearing, I think we're at least I get it in terms of, is this really helping activate, you know, walkability, you know, people being just Four Seasons community versus, you know, through retail or something like that, or restaurant establishment that's dated and more successful and what have you. Those we can only we have to respond to what's presented to us. So a little torn as well, but yeah, I'm roughly on the same page as everyone. I also agree with you, Dave, as far as it's not an option to say it should be required. There is some the cafe or whatever we're gonna call it on the ground floor. Not clear though, is that if someone not stated, how would someone a guest park or access this? Would they have to be walking from some other place along the road? Meanwhile, we're hearing the road parking is gonna get reduced. How would and is that gonna be regardless of the financial success of that? Is that always gonna be there no matter what? If it doesn't pencil, they call it the cafe. If it doesn't pencil out financially, say, you know, 3 years, hey, we're not making it, that's gonna go, and then we're back to something else. I don't know. That's a stipulation.
But I recall the dialogue of parking, this is you know, there's enough parking elsewhere that this is gonna be small enough. That people can walk, not sitting down.
Right.
They can walk up, pick something up.
Not a destination, right, necessarily.
Is that, you know, enough to activate, you know, the community, and that is that envisioned in 2014 general plan and dialogue
and so. I think we're all roughly in the same place with a few nuances here and there.
All other thoughts, John?
Sure, please do.
You know, I'm not you know, obviously as an architect, I'm definitely not anti-development, but they're making an ask, you know, they have the zoning, they bought the building with that zoning, you know, it's something that, you know, they've gone in eyes wide open on that. I'm not worried about, not as worried like you are that this is a precedent, so whatever, it's literally, these two properties have this zoning designation. And so making a leap out of here. It's also what we've identified as the commercial core. So if there was to be development in Alta or remodeling or renovation or whatever we're considering, you would think the commercial core is the place where it would happen, so.
Yeah, and Paul, thank you. Paul, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, I don't
Hear
think
me on
I'm
that?
muted, am I?
No, you're right, you're there, we're hearing you.
Yeah, I intended on being up there, but I ran into some complications this morning. I kind of view it as a difficult problem. Obviously, we've been looking at this for a couple years. I don't think it's ideal. Where I end up on it though is that it's really up for the council to decide. I think that something's better than nothing. And what we have here is a longtime owner of a business and member of the community. And the building looks a lot better than what we have now. My thought would be to advance it to the council without taking a position on it.
Okay.
And I think they're entitled to a hearing, and the idea of I think that there's something to be said that this should be dealt with along with other things, but to defer this for 2 or 3 years, I think is unfair under the circumstances.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, so we have an option to a neutral, just. If it's all on the record, what our thoughts are, council can absorb that as they wish, and we can say we're kind of neutral. That is an option, but I mean, given our comments, but as far as it.
So I think, the comments are basically as if it moves forward. I think there's a strong feeling that it should have the requirement that's not waivable of a commercial activity on the premise.
Can we put a time limit? I mean, can we put it to, we can't say in perpetuity, of course, but we could say for, how do we make sure it stays?
Well, I think my thought is that it's an enforcement thing and, or it's a not, one thing that would happen is, if it's required. And, that close up shop on that, it's a non-conforming use, so.
Okay,
Well, my question is, let's say that commercial, business license coffee shop.
Yeah.
Is established there. And it proves to be economically non-viable. Now what?
that's what we're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Are they required to keep it there? I mean, that seems a little nonsensical.
No, I know, that's why I think we need to bring this up, is that the new. Second guessing retail is certainly not my expertise, but is it selling the wrong, is it the wrong product, is it the wrong thing within the coffee shop, is it something inherently to do with the service or the look and feel, or people can't access it? I don't know those things, but we want to have some degree of activation based on retail, some sort of public facing use.
Well, it seems like there should be a requirement that it be given a good faith effort to make it successful. And if it isn't, of course, the problem there is that a year-round requirement or a season requirement? What is it?
Yeah, it's good faith effort, not what the attorneys just define out.
If I can just jump in.
Please do.
It's, I think, difficult to deal with the prospective future in a zoning change. That stuff typically happens in a development agreement.
Okay.
Or some other type of contractual basis.
Okay.
We can offer incentives to make it so that you know, the retail is more viable, but doesn't render the zoning unusable. And so I think to make the retail a requirement in the zoning, I think is difficult in this scenario. It's not impossible,
Okay,
but I think it would be. I think the broader question is, do we like the concept and the details we could work out, either in a separate agreement or come up with language after the fact?
okay, thank you, that helps. So if we were to make a motion, we would say, and within the development, with the planning commission. Like or require, within the development agreement to be determined, we strongly believe. Retail, whatever, that is included in the development agreement, is that appropriate for a motion?
And that would be between the town and the property owner, the development agreement?
Yes.
And I do, just want to point out, there are some other issues that have to be resolved. On this lot, it was development, so it's not approving this particular development because they still have a separation from the storm drain issue that needs to get resolved. So all this is really doing is establishing a lot. With a width and a depth of that matches the current building that a future building can.
With the defined use.
With the defined use.
Yeah, I guess I would just jump in on the notion of a development agreement. I mean, it's a brave new world, we could look into that. I think planning and zoning staff typically prefer to find a solution in a zoning ordinance. Because if you want to talk about precedent, development agreements are a good place to start, I think. And we just don't, we don't do them often. We've certainly done a fair amount of development in Alta is subject to one or the other. But anyway, if there's a solution to this in a zoning ordinance that can apply to zone C or wherever else, that might be easier. It's a little more transparent, I would say, for the general public. Dave, I don't want to cut Paul off if he was about to speak. Do you remember having a conversation about mixed use, like examples of zoning district language that require mixed uses?
Yeah, sort of more in urban environments, it's kind of a and it has limited success depending on sort of if you're too early with it and you can't get tenants, so it does have those risks that Roger was talking about. It's not a thing of, oh yeah, let's make it happen and it's guaranteed success. It really does have a lot of variables. If it's activated downtown place already, then it's gonna draw a lot of, tenants and, people that wanna be in the space. I think there's a giant question mark about this, in terms of something being viable in there. I just know that we spent a time as a body trying to talk about what's good for the community in this commercial core. This is the spot where it's really about the community. So it's a challenge.
Okay. Paul, did you want to add anything?
No.
Okay. So I'm hearing two different things, to be honest, a development agreement versus including the zoning.
Well, we can, I just, if there's a way to solve the problem or find an outcome that the planning commission or the council thinks is in the public interest in the text of an ordinance that goes in our code so that you and I can look it up and it applies to everybody in a specific district the same way. Let's just.
It sounds
cleaner and easier.
I hear that it also sounds a little more rigid, less flexible in the future.
Well, sure.
But that's.
No
definition,
Yeah,
But
you're right. You're both right.
Could be revisited and modified based on economic factors of. This getting bloated up or whatever.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
It's a nuance.
In this particular case, we're talking 400 square feet.
And
It's not huge. Yeah.
no, but we want, I think we're all there, what we want. An activity, a car coming in on a Friday night and leaving on Sunday afternoon. As far as that is. At least I think we all do.
So is that then? Again, are we fundamentally changing the core concept that was put in the general plan? By forwarding a motion to approve this. or do we forward it? With, and give the council who's, you know, the decider,
They're in deciding on the law.
right? And have that dialogue with the elected officials of the town. And our thoughts, you know, so that, you know, in trunks, it's just like our thoughts that carried forward into the dialogue with the council. So I think in my mind, again, back to. You have a parcel building on it that's really not adding anything to the town at this point. Property taxes, I guess. But, you know, they're, so can you build something that adds to the town but doesn't activate the core? And, or do you hold off and just wait for something that's gonna activate the core?
Jeff, can I ask what activate the core means to this planning commission?
I guess from what I'm hearing is basically the restaurant that you had before, something that the community can come down. Or people can come up to and enjoy, and I guess the fear is that. You'll have 8 hotel rooms here that people will. Come in, it's pretty much, you know, they're the only ones that get to enjoy that aspect of Alta. It's doing nothing to activate the community.
Yeah, and I would just add to that too, it's a great question, and it is a bit of a more, you know. Amorphous phrase there, but I think we all have different, slightly different variations, but it's also built upon a place. So, you know, as it gets hotter and hotter in the city and people want to come up and, you know, come up and do some day hikes. Let's stop and have dinner or some appetizers on the way home. That's activation. That's building upon other amenities in the community, whether it's a ski day or a hiking day. It's just more activity versus people are up here, they're gonna drive by this, let's be real.
Is it putting the onus of activation before on one building?
No, it's an agglomerate, well, it's a snowball effect, no pun intended, it's other uses in the area that build together to make an attractive sense of place, not just one-offs here and there, but we have. You know, we have the nucleus of the ski lift company and things that are going on there. And I always, to be honest, envision building upon that to make it a true place. Jump ahead 2 years to the general plan, but anyway, and I think it's, at least that's how my definition or interpretation of why we're a little bit struggling with the use and what activation means. Now and again, so just be nice if it were just. We see people walking to their cars here, of course, and you know, their truck and whatnot, but there's no bike rack, there's no, hey, stop by here on your way back from what such and such.
I think that's what we want, and I think this is gonna be much more year round than the restaurant I had. And the restaurant I had, I bought it, went bankrupt, the last 3 years. For this, I lost money, the only reason I kept it was because of my employees.
Sure.
I built the building, and this is a concept that I think is gonna be small enough. And I will be able to operate during the day and the hours. The problem with the just night restaurant is. Everybody's gone, they don't go out, and in the summertime, you know, we tried for years trying to work with the. Have a summer business, it was very difficult, obviously, part of that was just the thing, but. I think there's a lot of things that can go in here, and we wanna work with the town.
Sure.
Put in something that. We wanna be successful, we wanna be part of this community.
No, I hear you. So back, you know, when Shallow Shaft was at its peak in terms of success, in terms of a food and beverage place. Where were your customers coming from?
Snowbird, and then Snowbird.
Not from the valley.
No, hardly any from the valley. The majority of the residents come from Snowbird. What happened over the years, Snowbird cut us off because they wanted all the business up there, so they didn't have people coming up there, the services were coming back and down.
And they've added twice as many restaurants.
As you know, since then, now we have the Snow Pond, you know, so we have
Okay, no, that's a good history.
more stuff that's up here that wasn't up here. And so there's just a lot of variables. It was an old building, it spent so much, part of the problem is spent so much just maintaining. Sure. And it, I don't think it was you know, where I'm trying to put in the most carbon-free building. I mean, I just envision, I'm a very much an environmentalist, and it seems to me this is what Alta represents to me. You know, my idea is that everybody's driving an electric car 10 years from now, because the technology is gonna go that direction, and we're getting ahead of that. And the battery technology, and I'm excited for the future. I just think that, you know, I remember coming up in the past and, you know, there's sometimes all the launches are pretty much closed for this. There was a small business like this, you can operate more year round, and so the people up here, I mean, Roger, you know, on the off season, it's dead, there's no one up here. And so I think we wanna put in something that, you know, the town can get excited about. So, you know, we're here to listen, and we want to get the input, and we wanna work with you, but, you know, if we can't do this, then we're stuck with the same footprint, and we won't be able to offer what potentially we can, that I think will be a benefit to the town.
No, we appreciate that, and we're just having this, again, peeling the onion a little bit, so to speak, in terms of some great history, thank you for that. And just letting you know, I think some of the angst, some of the desires and angst that we have, but I think it's a good dialogue, so we appreciate that. Dave, please.
Another question, maybe I'm just too many things going on, but have we talked about the sort of the lot area, lot width and slope requirements piece of this a lot, or where did we land on this component? I think these go part and parcel together, right? Are we saying that this all goes in one package?
Yeah, go
If
ahead.
you'll allow me.
Yeah, please.
Our original proposal was.
It's captured with the
Yeah, so the original ask when we came was just to fix the discrepancy between, I think it was a 2018 amendment that allowed increased coverage for all the base facility zone, and the inconsistency of having a minimum required lot that didn't apply to any of the properties in zone C. So what we knew from the beginning was, as it stands, we can't tear down and rebuild without, other than that 250 square foot addition that was changed. So when all other properties in zones A and B of the base facility zone were increased to have additional coverage of their lot, zone C was excluded from that increase. Funded as a practical matter, because they did not comply with the minimum lot size and then the frontage. So all of the properties in zone C, and honestly, the assessment was that seems to have been an oversight. Because all other properties received a boon, but these two in zone C did not. So that was where we started, was just fixing that, what we perceived to be a discrepancy. So we started with that, and then the uses came up, and we added that to the formal proposal that came into that. I hope that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where we're coming from.
Good
Thank you.
reminder. And I guess the reason I'm asking is maybe do they wanna be coupled, or do we decouple them? And, you know, I guess I'm supportive or understand their ask on the lot area and slope requirements. And that's a separate thing from changing of zone, you know, and for a use.
Can I make a comment in response to Jay?
Yes.
So, I was here, if barely, well, I shouldn't say it that way. I had just started at the town when I think when the planning commission made its initial recommendation to the council regarding base facility zone amendments, and then I recall a rather ceremonious remand to the planning commission in a joint meeting. I think it was our last joint meeting, which gets me thinking a little bit about the future. But I don't I don't know if it's safe to characterize the situation that Zone C properties are in as an oversight. I guess I can't confirm or deny that, but one observation, and I don't wanna belabor this point because I do think it is entirely within the planning commission's remit to recommend and the council's authority to, you know, approve or deny, amend land use regulations in the fashion they're proposing. But the smallest minimum lot size in Alta in the zoning is half acre. So, it's, you know, it's a departure from that. Now, you know, is that grounds to, you know, however, absent some kind of change to address the minimum lot size situation or some other very substantial change in circumstances that I can't imagine, those two buildings are constrained to their existing footprints plus 250 gross square feet, more or less forever. Footprints and mass or density or whatever the other metrics are that we deem non-conforming. So, so I don't think that was an oversight. And if it was deliberate, which I don't think I would characterize it that way, but that could have been a reason why, because yeah, again, the smallest minimum lot size in Alta is half acre.
Okay, all right, thank you. John?
Just a quick follow-up. Chris is right. It wasn't an oversight. And they can tear down, rebuild, plus an additional 250 square feet. And they do get to benefit from the 65% coverage. So a couple of
How do
things.
we get benefit from that?
I can't hear you, Andrina.
Just how can we benefit from the 65% coverage? I don't understand.
Well, you can go from whatever you have to up to 65% coverage instead of 25% coverage.
But only if it's, well,
without making the nonconformity worse, which means you can't go closer to a waterway or a water course. And Chris is also right. The minimum lot size in the town of Alta is a half an acre for a single family home. The minimum lot size for any commercial endeavor is 1 acre. So these two properties, the Shaft and the Photo House, they were grandfathered in because they were established by the Forest Service prior to any zoning whatsoever. Are anomalies, and that's why they're grandfathered. So they have something that no one else can ever have. I mean, I think the photo house is like 0.13 acres, the Shaft is 0.21 acres, but still, they get the tear down, rebuild plus 250, maximum 25%, I mean, maximum 65% coverage instead of 25%. And the tear down rebuild was never allowed before. So that's new.
but I guess I just have to, John, I think that I don't think they can expand the footprint. I mean, it would be a major change in the town's interpretation of our own regulations to say they can expand their footprint if they're not already at 65%, or if existing plus 250 does not equal 65%.
Well, that's true. And we're kind of saying the same thing. So before 25% was the maximum, now 65% is the maximum. And if they can't expand because they're already 65%, they've been enjoying that benefit for the past 50 years. So
We're at 44%.
they already got it.
We're at 44%. I mean, if you're telling us that we can expand to 65%.
Well,
Yeah,
and that counts every,
And
yes.
that's the tax.
65%, as long as it doesn't increase or encroach on the existing nonconformities, like encroachment on the natural water, or not natural waterways, it used to be, encroachment on water courses. So if you have 44% legitimately, then you can go to 65%. But that counts everything. And when I look at this drawing right now, that counts everything that's paved, graded and paved in the front of the building, where people are standing in the parking. It counts the building, so I kind of question the existing coverage as shown at 44% because it looks much larger than that. But the bottom line is it doesn't matter because you get 65% as long as it doesn't increase the nonconformity.
And just to be clear, I think the 44% that she's talking about is the existing building.
Yeah, the building that we're proposing is 51%.
Well, it's
Pretty
more than the
hard.
building. It's the graded, it's the paved, it's all that parking area. It's everything that we see at the bottom of, in the entry to the structure.
No, we understand that.
Okay, okay.
And the proposal, of course, is subject to change between, you know, now and whenever an application for building permit is made.
Yeah, just to be clear, we are not at this stage approving a particular concept. We're approving a lot and there's a zone.
Zoning change, text amendments to the zoning ordinance.
Yeah,
So,
yes,
Right.
though this
Not
is
just one
a
line.
nice new picture,
It's, yeah, right.
illustrative.
less of what may be there, there are still.
Provided an analysis and a complete building permit application.
Right, and that's really important, Jeff, and you're right, we're approving a concept. The problem I see is that the applicants are basing the zoning request on this concept. And if they got what they asked for, they wouldn't get this.
Okay,
Well,
page.
Until we look at that application, I don't think we can say that.
There was a hand raised.
Oh, okay,
From.
yeah,
Hans.
please go ahead.
Thanks. Just to follow up on the coverage. Yeah, the existing coverage of everything is 44% from what we've estimated. I mean, there's some question marks on the retaining walls at the front, but roughly 44%. The new design is 51%. And what you don't see in this view is the large piece that's behind this that is not being touched, that's in front of the town offices. So that will remain as it is, and won't be a building, won't be parking lot, won't be anything. Thank you.
Part was in response to feedback from the fire service to be farther back from the road.
Okay. All right. Good, yes, sir.
I can just make sort of a clarifying, broader
Please.
context of this. I appreciate Jeff's question to clarify what you're considering and forwarding to the council. So at some point, when the council decides to amend or not, if they amend the zoning ordinance language, then an application that conforms to the zoning ordinance and the general plan is presumptively approved, right? So once we approve a zoning amendment, there is a little bit of loss of control in that sense, right? So we have a zoning ordinance, we have a general plan. If there's an application that meets those two requirements, there's a presumption it will be approved. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. Today, though, I think Jeff's point is on the mark. We're approving the text amendment language with comments and whatever recommendation the planning commission makes. And then at some point that may not become final from the council.
Okay, thank you.
Right, so the control is now. And what you do now establishes the control, and what you do if it's approved by the council, then that's it. That's the control mechanism, and it's over at that point.
Well, it's not, I mean, there are other regulations that apply, so.
And the council's ultimate control, not us.
Yes.
So it's
You're already making a policy recommendation to the council.
recommendation, not written in stone.
Right.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Then the council will have its own discussion and dialogue, make additional requests.
Thoughts and
They
comments.
can require it to be pink, or not.
Sure.
That's a
Well,
classic
they can't do
example.
that anymore under the new legislative laws.
Yeah.
You can make it pink if you want.
Okay, very good. All right, I think we've aired out a lot. Does anybody, I don't want to cut off any conversations. I think we understand where we are, I think. And so we have a notion of a motion, I'll say, as far as a neutral recommendation of town council. There's not a formal motion yet, with our thoughts and concerns, obviously, I don't know, embedded or whatever, under consideration. I don't think we can force the council to read what we say, but I hope they do. But that's one thing, some of that seems to be on the table. We have some other proposed motions and documentation. Where does everybody want to go?
No question.
Please.
Are we lumping sort of those three things into one recommendation, or do we want separate recommendations for like the zoning versus the lot.
You
Or
back to
do whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah, you can split them up separately and make. You know, you could recommend two of them positively and one of them negatively, you can do them all together, it's however you. It's however you choose to communicate the recommendation to the council.
Okay, okay. Do you wanna
Well, I just,
take a shot at
I
it?
guess I would say. I'm more negative on the adding the definition, but maybe the lot size, I'd be more neutral on, but.
So you would prefer if there are two motions
Sure,
as
yeah,
opposed to general.
but open to whatever you guys think.
Paul, yeah, go ahead.
I guess I was just not following the conversation very well on the lot area, lot width and slope requirements. Addition, that's part of this. It sounded like this was a moot thing.
No, it's
there.
not.
Okay, it's not a moot thing.
Let's assume it's not.
Okay,
Yes, it's not moot.
alright. Because I think I'm with what I think, you know, we're talking about here, in terms of. It's. These sites are unique, they're not meeting the minimum standards, you know, but they have. Grandfather qualities, let's say, and so I would be. Probably supportive of this edit to that lot requirement, so. It doesn't say anything about changing the zoning, that statement says we'll follow the zoning. And including lot coverage and height. So I'm just, you know, kind of looking at that and saying, well, if we're uncomfortable with the zone change related to the uses. But we would be really excited for, you know, something that fits into the current zoning. Does that give them flexibility or, you know, to look at it?
I didn't know we were, sorry, maybe I missed something, I didn't know we were uncomfortable, just not terribly. Very comfortable as far as the use, but.
Well, we've been talking about
Yeah.
these specifically
Right.
multiple times and
Right.
the clarification on what's a dwelling unit and what's a
Right.
hotel and that's specific to the ask, I guess, so.
Okay,
To me, that felt like people had. I mean, I was uncomfortable and I'm probably the most supportive on the whole group,
okay,
so.
okay.
Yeah, because specifically, we're adding this notion of compact hotel, which doesn't exist in the code today. So. You know, on one hand, you can approve. Part of the ask of amending the lot configuration. And a second one would be an approval of the this negative and positive or neutral of the concept of a compact hotel facility with a retail component.
Okay. So that's the two. Okay.
I lost track of that, Jeff. Can I ask you to be the?
Sorry, you're just making it up.
Yeah.
No, so again, if we're talking about, you know, part of the proposal is basically to define the lot and the width. To more configure this specific. Lot, i.e. being less than a half acre. So that, in my mind, is, you know, one recommendation to the. Town council that we are either supportive or not supportive of. Approving a lot configuration that's less than a half acre. Second one is approving or disapproving the notion of a compact hotel as an approved use within that zone or neutral.
Okay, sorry, I wanna let Mike weigh in on this real quick.
I just, the question that I just have is, you know, rather than changing ordinances and everything, because these properties were grandfathered in. Is there just an option for them to make an application and for the council to give them a variance without changing anything else? There's no option for that?
No, variances are very narrow and specific. It's just not.
That would basically be a development agreement.
Right.
Yeah, to be able to.
That's yeah, Mark, one more, and then we gotta move on. Go ahead, Mark, a couple minutes.
In your discussion on what does activating the core mean and why that is or isn't important to this body as well as the council. As a long-term member of the community and active in community nightlife, I would tell you that today, all of the properties in the base facility zone at various times restrict the public from entering. And so this town is sorely in need of additional commercial retail spaces that the public can enter regardless of what they are. All of the base facility zone, the Peruvian, the gold miners, Alta Lodge, Rustler. The only exception in my experience has been the snow pine at this point. And so in answer to the question, where do people go? They don't go to the main facilities in the core commercial area because they're excluded by the manager.
I think
And
that's
I
gonna,
think that's something that you ought to consider.
well, we're not gonna consider that today, but we're gonna consider that in the planning process that's coming up. So, please.
Can I request that we either close the windows or
Yeah.
really it's gonna be hard to hear. So this, the recording later, the speakers.
Sorry about that, I should have realized that earlier. Okay. So I'm hearing that we're gonna do motion or two actions potentially.
Well, I guess they had proposed 3 sets of way to deal with the compact hotel situation that A, B, and C. So
Specifically the commercial use.
yes, so that was, to me, those were 3 distinct, different proposals. And so I would suggest that we would address one by saying that's the one, or we explicitly don't wanna have a positive recommendation or a neutral recommendation, or, you know, I think we would probably wanna choose one to say that's the one that we can make a neutral recommendation on, which I had this one that was better, let's say, than the other.
Yeah, again, option C is the requires.
Yeah, that's what it's.
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense, John?
Yeah.
Belaboring that.
Yeah.
Awkward that there is motion language that I think would, you know, get you going, in the packet.
Okay. Refresh where we are.
Go to page 14 of the PDF, it's,
Right.
well, it's in a couple places, I mean, I copied and pasted it into the staff report, and then
Sure.
they also provided their supplementary narrative, attachment, I believe.
Okay.
Did that make the pack?
Yeah, so.
And then, I guess more in line as the whole one. With option C.
So you're, let's see.
So it's basically, I'm just gonna.
Sure.
Read this, I'm not necessarily motioning at this point. You know, I moved forward I'm gonna hold off on the finding a recommendation to the town council, proposed amendments to the town code section 10-1-6, 10-6D-4 and 10-6D-B as presented in the proposed presentation by the applicant dated March 5th, 2026, including the requirement for a retail component. And then I'm gonna be silent on that, whether or not the town council can waive it.
Okay.
So that doesn't separate out the lot.
You're actually not saying A, B, or C, just saying.
I'm saying, well, C is the requirement, so A is being silent on it. B is being,
maybe flexible on it. you know.
And C is,
and C is a requirement. I think the dialogue we've had is we want at least some element of a commercial activation there.
okay, so what I'm hearing is we have that. Possibly C, and then the missing word is positive, neutral, or negative as far as the recommendation in that text.
With that, I think what I've heard through here is a neutral recommendation.
Okay,
So that I will make that a motion.
okay, so we're gonna, the motion is that text that you just read with a neutral recommendation and C, which is required retail.
Right. Without the
Without
town council ability to waive.
of course, they can choose that.
And they would also include the divisions, I guess, of the definition of kitchenette to provisions for cooking.
Sure.
Instant pot and fry pan.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
And then drop the town council or designee language. So drop it as the designee language.
Okay. I've got that. We have a motion. And is there? Everybody clear on the motion?
And it's just including both elements.
Yes.
Yeah, one fell swoop.
Can I just
Yeah, please
clarify,
repeat,
we're more or less making a neutral motion of this with
Correct.
option C
Yes,
and this recommended language changes about provisions for cooking. Okay,
And designee.
and a designate.
yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I got it. Discussion, or is there a second? I'll second that, thank you. Discussion? We have a, Paul, anything? Make sure you. Okay. Motion. Is there all those in favor, any questions on the motion?
So just to be clear,
Yeah.
I moved, you seconded.
Yes. All those in favor? Aye.
I think I would go negative on the definitions, I guess I'll go.
So many, okay, Paul?
He's
You're
muted.
muted, you're muted,
Yes.
okay. Okay, we do have that motion, so 41,
No, it was 3-2, wasn't it? Then Maren wrote it down.
He said yes.
4-1, I said 4-1,
So
yes, yeah, I said yeah.
Yeah, he was
So-
speaking English.
4-1. All right, thank you. I think the town council has the ball in their court.
I'd like to just add one item that I'm emotionally contaminated by this issue because in August of 1990, my daughter's wedding rehearsal dinner was at the Shell Shack. And she lived in there for some years before, so a connection.
No, I can see the connection, and as I was telling you before, I have fond memories of. All the places, the restaurants on the hill. And I was sorry to see those go and modernized and whatever, and, yeah, this hasn't been an easy decision. And that's why I hung on as long as I did.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna go to item 6 real quick, new business, and then I'm gonna have to turn it over to Jeff to close things out. I'm afraid I've got to run right at 4:30. New business, Chris, I want to
Yeah,
roll out the grant award,
let's see,
please.
we only have one council member in the room now, and he's aware of this, but I will just say that I haven't actually told the council that we receive or we applied for a grant from West Point Regional Council to the Transportation Land Use Connection Program to for funding essentially to hire consultants to update our general plan, and we were awarded. I honestly, the only reason I haven't told the council is because I've been waiting for like an official kind of WFRC marketing email announcing those awards. Well, the consulting community seems to know, so sorry, I wasn't actually waving my hand at you, but I think there's one out there. I'm just not finding it. So anyway, it's true. We got the grant. I've been saying all along, I think we started moving towards applying for a grant almost a year ago or last summer, let's say, knowing full well that we had a whole bunch of really heavy stuff to work on. We are, we've gone public with our goal to replace 2 buildings, to begin construction in, let's say, 27 months. It's just, there's never a dull moment here at Alta. So it's a little daunting to contemplate a general plan update. We have a substantial award. I think it's like between the $120,000 award and we pledged a $20,000 contribution. So that's a decent budget for a general plan update here in Alta. But I'm sure any community would say this, but we could burn through that pretty quick.
Well, no, congratulations to the staff. No, that's great. It's good news. Congrats on I know that grant it's a lot of work. From what I understand, it'll be available July 1st, but you'll get that in your letter.
Yes, that's when we can get under contract.
Yeah. So that's great. So we've got some fun work ahead of us as a commission in terms of being engaged with that process. So I think we're all looking forward to that. So that's great. I say that.
Yeah.
No, as far as looking for, I think it's gonna be exciting. So
I can remember this next.
yeah, I've got to slip away. I'm sorry. But anyway.
Thanks, Sean.
All right.
So the next item is the date of the next meeting. Which is
So 22nd.
Yeah, April 22nd.
Is it during the League of Cities and Towns conference? Yeah.
Yeah, I have to call you back. Right. Anyhow, 22nd work for folks.
Yes, that's.
Yes.
Celebrate. You guys will be closed, I guess. No.
I think that's technically 4 days till closing.
4 days.
Yeah.
So. Okay, with that, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved. We have a second. Dave?
Yes, second it, but I think.
Oh, yes,
She's
I moved.
she moved it.
Yes.
You seconded.
Okay, very good. I will.
All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye. Paul, you gonna stick it out?
Said that.
Keep
Yeah.
going, Paul.
Yeah. Did I mute myself again?